I wanted someone to do life with as an equal partner and someone that I felt a partnership with, right? And so I came to a realization that it wasn't going to be in the situation that I was in. And it was a hard pill to swallow because I so wanted it to be the case, but my soul couldn't do it anymore.
Hello, Phoenix friend, and welcome to this episode of the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am Corey Ray Kovacs, your host, and this is a great show today. I'm pretty excited to bring to you Jenny Barmach. She is an Arizona realtor, a marketing strategist, as well as an event producer. And she is one heck of a Phoenix woman. She's recently navigated a divorce, a career change, and challenges in her personal life. And through this conversation, she brings light to a piece of the transformation puzzle that we do not talk about enough, and that is the messy middle. It's the part where we don't have everything figured out. Things are still kind of a wreck around us, and yet there is light, there is joy, and there is purpose that we can find even in those moments. We talk a little bit about discovering and coming back to authenticity within our sexuality, as well as within our relationships and in our career, and really like these important pieces of our life that sometimes we can find we're not living the life that we feel we could be. We're not living the life that feels in most alignment for us. And when we get to that point, we start making changes, we get excited about the possibility of living this life that feels more aligned. And also, there are challenges that come along with it. And that is what we talk about today. We're keeping it real today, sisters. So make sure you tune in. I've got some goodies for you at the end of the episode. So make sure you stick around. Come on and sit down next to me as we spend the next hour chit-chatting with Jenny Barmach. Welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Ray Kovacs, a registered nurse and reflector in human design on a soul mission to help women like you rise from life's ashes with abundant energy, purpose, and joy. Each week, we'll meet at the intersection of science, soul, and storytelling as we create a bridge between holistic women's health, the sacred feminine, and cyclical wisdom. You'll get tools and insights from experts and guests, helping you to thrive in every area of your life. So go ahead and pull up a chair, grab your favorite crystal or cup of tea, and let's rise like phoenixes together. Hello, Jenny, and welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am so happy you are here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's such an honor. I have really looked forward to getting to sit and chit chat with you. I know we just met recently, but it was like the universe conspired, right?
I'll take it. Absolutely.
So one of the first things I love to find out in the show is where you are at in your menstrual cycle right now. Do you know?
Well, I'm in perimenopause, so there is no rhyme or reason to my cycle.
Yeah.
Which is so lovely.
Yes.
But I had like 2 periods in a row, and then now I haven't had one for like, I don't know, 20 days. So I don't really know because it's really shoddy right now. It's all over the place. So I'm in perimenopause. That's where I'm at in my cycle. But I am not currently bleeding, if that is the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you feel like your energy is right now? Do you feel like you feel creative? Do you feel tired?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I do. Where am I at? I feel inspired. I feel eager. I feel driven. Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah.
That's excited to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always a pleasant is getting to talk to new people and talking to kindred spirits, you know. I always find that invigorates me. I'm sitting right now like I don't know. I might even start my bleed while we're talking. Like, that's where I'm. So I've already cried 3 times this morning.
I love it.
And one time was after I already got myself all prettied up too. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Trying to suck in the mascara. But I think it's interesting, especially, thinking about this whole perimenopause thing, because I'm very early in this space. I'll be 42, so I'm just getting started in it, but I'm already noticing some changes. And I think trying to navigate those roller coasters, like what you're talking about, the unpredictability of your cycle, how has that been for you? Like, were you really regular before and now it's like all over the place? What is that? What is this
I was
season?
always regular,
Yeah.
always regular. I mean, I went into labor with my son like on my due date. And so it's super weird at the age of 47. I used to be like, oh, I'm not feeling anything, nothing. I'm not in it. But then when it's really obvious like that, and I'm like, didn't I just have my period? Like, what is happening right now? And why is it lasting forever? And then it doesn't come for like extra amount of time. So the unpredictability and navigating it, I just go with the flow, no pun intended.
I no, or pun intended.
Pun intended.
I think that's such a beautiful lesson that we learn in this part of our life, right? In this season, which I kind of equate to like an autumn type season. It's when the leaves kind of start changing in your life. The colors are changing, the temperature is changing. It's no longer this like kind of summer predictable, weather. Now things are starting to kind of cool off a little bit, or you might have a hot day and then you've got a cool day. And so that flexibility in your life, like we do with the weather, it builds a certain amount of skills and character. Honestly, it's kind of perimenopause is a character building exercise.
Yes, it is. It is. And it's something that, at least for me, like I didn't really want to admit because it wasn't really something there's no like, you're either pregnant or not pregnant, right? And like with perimenopause, it's like, I'm a little tired today. Must be perimenopause. I'm a little hungry today. It must be perimenopause. I mean, it's so hard to kind of pinpoint exactly, at least in my experience, that's what it's been. Yeah. So, but now as a result of like the demonstrative, like flow twice in a row situation, I am telling you, I am officially in perimenopause. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It is. And it's a challenging season. And also, I believe that it's an important one because it's when we start kind of shedding all of those things that no longer fit in our lives. I mean, have you seen that in your life?
I thank you for asking because that's a real thing. It's a real thing. I would say changes in relationships, changes in friendships, in long-term bonds, in long-term soul contracts. What you thought was forever soul contracts are no longer. There's been a lot of change for sure. And navigating those have been probably a really, hard season, but I do believe and trust in the universe, and I trust in my God, my higher power, that, I'm on the track that I'm supposed to be on, and that I'm making space for new relationships and new soul contracts and a new phase, really. Yeah.
I know that you recently went through some challenges with your relationship. You went through divorce and you were married for 20 years. Yeah.
20 years.
Talk about a soul contract challenge there. Do you think that the energy of perimenopause, like kind of entering into this season, do you think that played a part in these changes that have gone in your relationship?
Honestly, I don't. I think that what might have played a part in it is, they say women hit their sexual peak in their mid-30s. And when I hit my sexual peak in my mid-30s, there were some realizations that this was not really the direction I wanted to continue in forever and ever. Amen. Right. And so that played a role into it. But the perimenopause and the the changes now that are happening. No, I don't think it did. I think now it's playing a change in how I'm navigating forward. It's definitely like talking about shedding. Like I don't really tiptoe around conversations the way I might have before. So I'm shedding the insecurity of my voice, right? And so that has been helpful. I think that the hormones involved in my body probably do have an effect on that.
When you went through this change in your relationship, did you get to a point where you realized that you couldn't go down this path anymore? Take us into that moment. You're living your life. You have two kids and your husband, and you have your career as an event planner. You're doing all of these things, and then suddenly you kind of get to a point where the path you're taking is no longer the path that you can take anymore. What did that feel like for you?
You know, while there's a subtle knowing, the knowing gets stronger and stronger, and then there's a catalyst, right? That kind of is like boom. And so that's really what happened for me is that, you know, there were thoughts and then they evolved into like more realistic kind of notions, right? But really I started doing yoga and I started participating in classes, specifically yin yoga classes, which is deep stretch and deep tissue muscle release and tension. And so I also did a lot of breathwork classes and a lot of yoga nidra. And that really, I mean, I was shaking. I was like shaking in those classes. Like I could feel energy coming out of me that no longer, that wanted to maybe erupt at previously. But I really did get a lot from those classes. And, you know, I just realized and stated to him, my soul can no longer grow alongside your soul the way that it needs to. And it just came out. It came out after a class. And, you know, I was met with a response of, where'd you come up with that? Right. But that's all good, except for the fact that I really realized that I was looking for a partner in life and I wanted someone to do life with as an equal partner and someone that I felt a partnership with, right? And so I came to a realization that it wasn't going to be in the situation that I was in. And it was a hard pill to swallow because I so wanted it to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But my soul couldn't do it anymore. My soul couldn't do it anymore. I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew that I was headed in that direction. And I couldn't really define any other tangible, this is what's going to happen, this is how I'm going to do it. None of that existed. And so I say I orchestrated a divorce. That's the term I use because really it feels like it was in different phases, different pieces, and, you know, different themes that all kind of wove together. But the catalyst happened when, you know, my brother and his my sister-in-law were in labor and they were having a baby. And I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to share my joy with. I didn't have a partner to share my joy with. And that's when I said, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I knew that I was going to make a different life for myself. That was the catalyst. That morning, while they were in labor and new life was being brought into this world. And I was so joyful
Mm-hmm.
and I had no one to share it with.
Do you think that that realization was a result of the growth that you had kind of undergone rather than there was like something wrong in the relationship? Like, was it just like this realization that there was something wrong? Or was there truly like a growing apart that had been happening at that point?
I mean, I think in a relationship with 20 years, there's got to be a little bit of both, just because if I said there wasn't, you know, that wouldn't really be truthful, right? I think that we had a very good experience together. We had a lot of really happy times, a lot of great years, but I did grow in a way. He would always say to me, you always want more. You want more. You just always want more. I'm bisexual. I've always known I'm bisexual. And it was something that wasn't welcome in the marriage and in the relationship, even in terms of acknowledgement of it, really. And so that was like saying you can't be you in many ways. And I get it. Like, how does one really behave that way? How does one have that sexuality and exercise who they are in a monogamous straight relationship? And I get that. And also, there's ways that could have maybe things have could been handled differently. But part of that growth process really was me deciding that I wanted I wanted the more. I wanted to live my bucket list, you know? I was not okay with doing the same thing over and over again and having the same experience over and over again and hanging out with the same people over and over again. That's not me. You know, eating the same thing every day. That's not me. I am someone who's always looking at what else is there and as a bigger picture of, you know, life and the expansiveness of it. So was it the growth that did it for me? Sure, but maybe it was a little bit of accepting who I have always been.
Ooh, yeah. I think that's such an important piece because we grow up with this notion that relationships are meant to last a lifetime, that you're supposed to get married when you are young, or at least, you know, like our generation, that was definitely the thing, right? You get married and then you're supposed to be with that person for the rest of your life. And if you don't, then somehow you're a failure or somehow like there's something wrong with you. And I really want to help people understand that maybe that's a very like closed way to look at relationships or a limited view. And then when you start to kind of shift your perspective a little bit and look at relationships as seasons, and that some relationships are longer seasons than other relationships, then you start to accept the preciousness that's in every single relationship for what it is, rather than trying to make it what it's not. I think that's such an important piece, and you're
Very,
speaking to that. Yeah.
very, absolutely. And that we are all in growth. You know, people grow at all ages up through their 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, really, people are always growing. The only thing constant in life is change. It's on my
Absolutely.
business card. The
Yeah,
only
it's a
thing
good.
constant in life is change. And it's very true because that's what happens. Everything is a constant state of flux. You know, we're always in flux. And yeah, I think that you summed that up nicely.
I'm going to revisit that piece about your bisexuality because I had that experience in my first marriage. I got married very young. It was 4 days before my 21st birthday, and I got married to somebody. We were both in the military, and at that up to that point, I had thought that possibly I was bisexual, but I grew up in a place that wasn't even like couldn't even talk about that, even the possibility. And I was very confused as a child because I had no role models. I had nobody I could talk to about why I liked a particular friend the same way I liked my boyfriend and all of those things. And so in my mid-20s is when I started to actually bring words to my sexuality and started having these conversations about me being also bisexual. And it's so funny you said that. You were like, you know, this denial that your husband was denying that you were. Because I remember that conversation with my ex-husband. He said the same thing. He's like, "No, you're not. You've dated dudes your whole life." And, you know, it obviously made me question. I'm like, "Well, is this true? Is this who I am?" And because there wasn't a safe space for me to even talk about it. I wasn't even talking about wanting to get a girlfriend. I wasn't talking about that. I just was trying to figure out who I was and make sense of pieces of myself that I hadn't been able to give words to. And the person that I was, you know, supposed to be the closest to was this person. And
Hmm.
he was the first person that I officially came out to. And it was met with a very defensive and like, no, you're not. That's ridiculous. You know, these kind of words. And that impacted me. And it was
Hmm.
another divorce and another relationship after that where I was actually in a safe space where I could start to really understand who I was. And it would be another decade before I even got to explore and date a woman for the first time. Right. And so it's just, if you know, for our listeners here, if you've ever been in that situation where you've had challenges with your sexuality, or even just like exploring who you are, and in the relationship where it maybe doesn't feel safe to do that, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up in divorce or anything like that. I don't want to give that message, but I do want to say this, that as a woman who has spent her entire life coming back to authenticity with her life,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
when I started to follow my light and follow the things that were true to me, that is when my life came into alignment. And it sounds like yours is also doing the same.
Yes. Yes, girl. 100%. And just a side note, just about bisexuals, right? It's very much something that takes a long time to even understand and admit to your own self. I mean,
Yeah.
for a very long time, I was like, no, you're not. Yeah, am I? Am I not? Well,
Hmm.
you're just probably a lesbian and you're just saying that you're bisexual because it's just a little gentler. No, no,
I like both.
I like them both.
Nope, I like both. You know, it's so funny. I'm curious. When would be the moment for you when you realized, nope, I really am bisexual? Like, what was that for you?
It was, again, there were no words for it because I'm a little older than you, I think, but in college, when I didn't know what it was, but there were like two different guys that I had crushes on, and they were both pretty effeminate.
Hmm.
And I remember confessing my crush, and they're like, you know, there's guys that like girls and guys that like guys. I like guys. And I was like, fuck, and then that happened twice where I was attracted to a gay man. And then I had a roommate my freshman year of college that was very flirty. They had gone to like an all girls school and, just had a lot of touchy feely kind of friendship vibes. Right.
Hmm.
And definitely that was like, that was when I started to kind of put pieces together. Oh, is that why I was like jealous of this girl back then and jealous of this friend who became friends with them and,
Hmm.
really got heartbroken when my female friendships took a turn in a way that I couldn't control. And
Hmm.
so I think I gave you a couple different examples of when I realized, but when I went out with some of these guys and I went to, I mean, this was in the year 97, 98,
Yeah.
and, going out to a club, a gay club, and there being women there. And I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know what I am because, I'm attracted to these guys. I'm supposed to like guys. So here I am. It's very interesting to have this kind of a vibe within that's just, it's rooted. It's just who I am. But I think that there's a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge about the B in LGBTQ.
Hmm.
And so there's a reason it's in there. It's because it's real. And, the term is bi erasure and
Or invisibility.
invisibility, is that it doesn't exist. And not only in the straight community, but also within the rainbow community,
Hmm.
that that will pick one, no, but how can you live a life where you have both? It's not very common. It's not very accepted. It's very difficult, right? So yeah, to get the best of both worlds isn't so easy, or is it?
It's challenging. I mean, I've been there. I've lived in a polyamorous relationship for the last 10 years. All of my relationships have been polyamorous or open to polyamory. And that has been instrumental in me being able to explore my bisexuality. And that was an important piece that for me and my development of my growth and me discovering who I am in my relationships is being able to do that. But obviously that is not for everybody. It's
Right.
hard.
Well, I'm
It's
I'm
hard.
down for it. I
Yeah.
I it is definitely for
It's
me, but it
tough.
was something that
Yeah.
it was shut down so quickly in my 20 years of,
Mhm.
previous partnership, but not in this partnership that I'm in. So
Right.
I have not explored it yet, but,
Yeah. But even just the openness, like right now, my partner and I are just with each other. We don't have any other partners right
exactly.
now. But that doesn't mean we're monogamous. It just means that we are in a place where we have only one partner. But I think the important piece of this is that when you start creating authentic relationships from your place of authenticity, rather than playing a part or a role that we think we're supposed to play, like, being a straight woman in a heterosexual relationship, right? That's the idea. We're supposed to do that. And when that is not authentic to who we are, then we still play that role. And that's the piece with the bisexuality, is that it's real easy for us to play that role. It's way easier from a societal standpoint to just go along with that half of ourselves. But we do end up letting go or not fully exploring these other pieces of us. And so I love that you came to intentionality after your relationship, after your divorce, and said, no, this is how I'm going to build relationships now. These are the kind of relationships that I want. I want openness. I want to be able to explore who I am fully. And that means I'm going to choose the relationships that enable me to do that. That's powerful, sister.
Yes, I love it. And
Yeah.
just real quick, a note, people think that it is a half and half situation, and it's a spectrum. Bisexuality is very much a spectrum, 70-30, 80-20. Sure, some people could have 50-50 or 40-60, right? I mean, it really is, it could be really anything across the spectrum. So that I just wanted to make a note of that. Yeah.
No, and
because
that's a good point.
And like, well, because you said, claiming the half that we just go along with that half of us. And that's the only reason I say that is because there's a misconception that that's how it goes. And that's not necessarily true, at least not to me. But also I do claim both identities. I feel like I get to take up a couple letters in that rainbow, right? I get to take up the B, the L, and the S, right? Because I lived most of my life as straight and bisexual, even though not everybody accepted it. I still knew who I was. And now I'm a lesbian and bisexual. And so, I definitely feel like if I didn't assume both of those at the same time, it would be silly of me because, of course, if I'm with a woman right now, they're going to see me as a lesbian. Just like when I was with a man, I was straight. But that's kind of the role of that bi. There's always that duality. But really in the bi community, there's a lot of similarities in the personalities that it's kind of like, do you want chocolate or vanilla? I want both. Like do you want,
swirl, please?
It is. And so it's just really funny that people have very similar personalities where it's about the and. In fact, I just recently, I've used that like in my vision boards, the ampersand sign. It's about the and.
This and.
And so.
And is such a powerful word for anything in life. So, I mean, whether we're talking about understanding our personal expression, our gender, our sexuality, anything in our personal growth, the and opens up more space for us to see who we are. And I think it gives permission to the universe to bring us some really awesome shit. We say
That's
right?
And yes.
I think it also gives permission for us to experience the entire spectrum of humanity, right? When we say, I am happy and I'm really struggling, or I am excited and I'm nervous. I'm, feeling blessed and also I want more. Like those two things, like living the paradox, living in, leaning into that space is a beautiful expansion place. And I think the more that we incorporate that word, instead of saying but, right? I'm this but, and say and, then that allows for us to accept ourselves in such a better way, rather than saying, I am this, but I want this. And that's like an exclusionary language. And I think that language matters. And I love that you've also incorporated that word, because I think it's a very powerful one.
Thank you. I agree. I have decorations, ampersand decorations in my house.
It's a good one. It's a good one to envelop, and I don't know, maybe my altar needs an ampersand.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
it could go right up there next to my pussy candle. Well, if you can see that, that's what that is up there.
Awesome.
a pussy
I
candle.
love it.
And
You'll
then
see
my
one.
phoenix. Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. One day I'm going to write a book about bisexuality. I'm going
I love
to. I
that.
know I've been saying it for years, but I mean, there's a really great book out there called Greedy by
Mm.
Jen Winston that I
Okay.
highly recommend. She is also a fellow Trojan. We went to the same college, USC.
Oh,
And
fun.
and we're both named Jen. But I thought that was really cool. And in her book, you know, just the title of it alone says a lot of it, greedy, right? And so I got a lot from that. And one of the things that I got from that was the interest. It was interesting to hear. They were like little stories woven together, but she ended up with a trans man, a woman who became a man. It was very interesting because it was the first time I said, huh, she really has both. Interesting. Hmm. And that
Yeah.
was a thought. That was a thought, and then it came, and then it left. Right? I now have that experience in a different way, where I think the B's and the T's get along. Let's just say it like that.
For a long time, I felt like my body was working against me because of years of irregular cycles with polycystic ovarian syndrome. My energy, emotions, and symptoms felt really unpredictable. But one of the things that truly changed my relationship with myself was starting to track my cycles consistently with the Cycles Journal. Just spending 5 minutes a day with my cycles journal helped me to realize these patterns aren't random, they are cyclical, like me. It's helped me to create a roadmap of self care so I could build deeper self trust and a more intentional way of living in a way that fits my busy schedule as a mom, farmer, and business owner. And what I love most about the Cycles Journal is that it's inclusive for anyone wanting to understand and follow their inner rhythms. Whether you're actively cycling, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, or simply wanting to get to know yourself more. If you want to try out the Cycles Journal, you can use my code Sacred Phoenix for 10% off. Just click the link in the episode description to get your copy today. Now, let's get back to the show. We've talked about some good things that have come from after your divorce. Obviously, having the freedom to explore your identity and sexuality, and having authentic relationships that are more aligned with who you are, who Jenny is right now. Let's talk a little bit about the messy shit. Like, about the stuff that maybe is uncomfortable. We don't like to talk about these things, but are very real when our life kind of implodes a little bit. What would you say has been the most challenging piece for you ever since you went through your divorce?
There's been a lot of challenging pieces. I think that the most challenging was getting used to the hustle and not thinking that it's going to go back to normal, right? Or go back to the way it was. And that I think the hardest part has been my baseline of hustle, it's been up here. I've been in survival mode. So that's been the hardest part is staying up here, staying in that survival mode, staying in that hustle mode, staying, figuring it out. Okay, deal with this, deal with that, deal with this, deal with this. I mean, I changed my insurance 6 times last year, and I still am not 100% settled right now. Literally, I have to figure that out again this week. So just little things like that might have really knocked me down previously because I've been at this level. I just take it. I just take it. Like I try not to complain, but I think the hardest part has been maintaining the energy needed to stay in fight mode, in survival mode, in let's go mode, in drive, right? Like there hasn't been a lot of downshifting at all based on the way that my life has unfolded. And I am a much stronger person now than I have ever been. And I never thought I would have the voice that I do now. I never thought that I would be able to do some of the things that I do, but shit doesn't scare me the way it used to. I don't get bothered over little things. Like I really understand what the small stuff is now because I've really encountered big stuff after big stuff after big stuff. My messy middle, started as, I orchestrated this divorce. It was very important to me to detach in love and have a relationship with him after it was over that was kind and loving and supportive. I didn't want to just dismiss and erase the life we had built together. That was not something I wanted. And gratefully, that's not the case, right? But I was laid off 3 months after I left my marriage of 20 years. And it was also the time that rent was at an all-time high and very scary. So then I got another job that just was not meant for me, an international travel job with zero wiggle room for onboarding time and space. Just like onboarding, if I was in the NFL, like the week of the Super Bowl, it was like literally the week the events launched, just not very supportive environment, right? And wasn't for me. So now I'm out of work twice in the year 2025 and still changing my email address that I had for 20 years. I was still trying to recover from that initial rip. And now I had 2 huge other rips, just boom, boom, boom. Thus the insurance changes. Now you're making sense, right? So it really led me to do some soul searching. And at the same time, my dad is transitioning to losing his mind and me needing to become his caretaker and taking away his driver's license and figuring out what the next steps are for him. And, he didn't leave me any money to do any of that, right? So trying to figure out how to do that. And it was a lot. It's been a lot. And so I would like to be able to downshift. I feel like there's some times that I'm starting to downshift, but that heightened level of awareness and responsivity, I think it's going to take me some time to kind of come down. So yeah. Now it's kind of easy to stay there.
Yeah. You bring an important point up. And when you're going through these big life transitions, oftentimes it can be everything. It can almost be like the entire life is crumbling. It's not just the relationship, but then it hits you financially. It can hit your health. It can hit you in other places too. And sometimes it can feel like it can feel personal. It can feel like the universe is like beating you the fuck up while you're down. And I will have to say this because I've been out of that space for a while. It's been a decade since my cataclysm. It's like literally Noah's flood. That's what it feels like. And I was in that survival mode for several years. I had moved 12 times in the first 2 years after my separation. And I had a toddler and I had no job because I was a stay-at-home mom. And I was in that survival mode for a long time. And I think that you bring up such a good point is that when we do have changes that happen in our life, whether we're instigating them, right, orchestrating them, like you so gracefully put it, or it happens to us, like what happened in my situation, I did not bring that on, that was brought on to me. And when that happens, you do kind of have to stay in survival mode for a time. And I will say this, that as a woman who's been on the other side of that being in that survival mode, like hustle, grind, like it is not sustainable. I will say that it is not sustainable. There comes a point when finding the peace or finding the new rhythm is an important part of the process. And I love that you're speaking to this because you're still in it. You're like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still got some shit that I've got to handle, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I think that gives a realistic space for women. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat it here and say, you get a divorce and, you get to live your life authentically. It's going to be rainbows and sunshine. No, it's not. It's actually really hard. And it gets hard. It oftentimes gets harder before it gets easier. You feeling that?
All of what you said, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Hallelujah! Take
it, 100%, absolutely. I mean, I do feel it balancing out a little bit. I'm scared to say it out loud, right? Because like I don't want a shoe to drop, but like I just I feel it. I feel like I'm almost there, and when I say I'm almost there, like we're never almost there. There's never somewhere to land.
There's
and
not a
be
destination.
there. But like I'm almost to the point where like I can call and chit chat with someone about whatever. Or like, I don't know, watch TV, right? Or like do whatever I want on a Sunday instead of work. So, I mean, that's what almost there feels like to me because I haven't been able to do that, right? I'm building two businesses because I really did soul searching and figured out, I've always been in corporate and small business marketing, and I have learned many, many different industries just to do the same thing I've always done. And event planning is one of the hats underneath the marketing umbrella that I've always worn. And I said, what do I want to market at this point in my career? So I was like, I want to market myself and market properties, and I'll keep one event on the books, right? What's this event going to look like? Well, that's a whole nother thing because I doubled down. When things were extra hard and I was in my messy middle, guess what else I did? I got sober. Crazy shit, right? I mean, who gets sober in the middle of that crazy thing? I did. I doubled down. I mean, and part of that was that it came my way. The universe brought that to me in many ways, it was no longer wanted it to be part of my story. It was very much something that I used to make life seem okay for a long time when I was maybe in a partnership that really wasn't a partnership, right? And I didn't want it anymore. And so, yeah, I haven't had alcohol or marijuana since December 8th. And I'm 7 months and 10 days into it. And I find a lot of fellowship in the program, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, that happened. And people who know me are like, you what? Right? So like, I have had enough partying for 8 lifetimes for 4 people at least. So like we good. And I'm ready to adult and next chapter. So
again, there are seasons to the things that we have in our life, and what was something that brought us pleasure or even a coping mechanism. I know I used it as a coping mechanism for a really long time, especially in my 20s while I was in the military. You get to change your mind about the relationship you have with all the things that are in your life, not just with people, but with your job, with how you show up as a parent, with your sobriety, like your coping tools. You get to change how you relate with that. And when you start to see that as a relationship and say, like, who am I now? How am I going to show up in the world? And how am I going to care for myself and my body now that I'm in this place in my life? Mm-hmm. And then being intentional on making those choices from that clarity. That is when life really starts to change. And by the way, December 8th is my birthday. So,
no!
Yeah.
I love that.
You said that. You said December 8th. And I was like, oh, girl, that's my birthday.
That is correct. That's also my nephew's birthday. But that is so cool.
That. Well, that's so cool because then
I'm going to wish you happy birthday now every year.
Well, and I'm going to also message you and say happy sobriety anniversary.
Yes.
Happy
I
birthday.
Love it.
That's
and the reason I bring that up, my sobriety, right, is because, I decided to keep one event per year, not multiple, and produce an event on my own. Is that when I had reserved a venue and initially thought of this event that I wanted to have for women, it was going to be an all-out rager, like super like drunk fest, like crazy awesome, right? Like, and then I got sober and I was like, I don't want to go to that, right? So I changed it to a women's wellness weekend, and I couldn't be happier that I did that.
Let's talk about this festival a little bit more. So this is the Desert Muse Festival in Scottsdale, Arizona in September. Yeah.
September 25 through 27, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was able to find 5 healers to bring in and set them up, someone leading rooftop yoga, someone leading a guided nervous system reset hike here in Arizona, which the hiking is beautiful. Right. And then we have an esoteric who's really our mistress of ceremony. So she'll be weaving it all together. We have a naturopath that specializes in bliss and pleasure. And we have a sound healer. And it's going to be a really, really deep weekend and a lot of sisterhood to be had.
I love talking about events, especially women's wellness events and retreats. And I think it's an important thing for women if they've never been to a retreat or you've never been to like a wellness weekend. they might ask, like, why is this important? Why do I need to go away to a wellness retreat? What's the point? And, I keep thinking about this woman, right? You're talking about you, but I'm thinking about this woman who's going through the shit, right? Who's going through the challenges in her life, who maybe hasn't been able to pay a lot of attention to herself, to pour into herself, to pour into her heart, and to pour into her soul, to pour into her body, to care for herself, because she's having to keep the boat afloat. She's having to keep the family running, keeping all these things going when these big life changes happen. And I'm like, yeah, this is why we need to have these kind of events, because oftentimes we have to take ourselves out of our normal routine in order to kind of like reboot and re-engage and say, yeah, this is me. This is who I am. So tell us a little bit more about the woman that will find this festival and this retreat to be so beneficial for her. Who is she? Who is she?
Yeah. Well, she's anyone 18 to 98 because it's inclusive of all ages. She's anyone of any sexuality, straight, lesbian, bi, non-binary, presenting, however, right? It's all women. And we all learn from each other. And it's definitely the woman who's in the messy middle, either just entering the messy middle, boom, crash, or, where I'm at, kind of where I'm like, is it safe to relax now? Like, can I live this life? Am I in this life? Have I arrived? Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the messy middle. It's a time to you said reinvent, and it's also the time to remember who we are, right? And to reconnect with who we are at the core, and to find our muse, to awaken our muse, and to understand how that muse has changed. For one person, it might have been XYZ that was their muse for 20 years. And now they're like, what moves me? What moves my soul, right? That's what a muse is. It moves my soul. It calls to me to grow. It calls to me to have drive. It makes me want to be better. It makes me want to do more. It makes me want to come alive, right? That's what a muse really, really does for people. And so it's a place and a time where you can really awaken your muse and reconnect with it. Yeah. And find your muse, right? And know that it's okay for it to change. It's okay for you to have multiple of them and to be able to harness that energy, right? In a way that when you leave, you feel reinvigorated. You feel like you've had time to relax, relate, and release. And it's a time to connect. The pool day on Sunday in itself is going to be amazing. Private jacuzzi and cabana. And it's at the Hotel Valley Ho, which is in downtown Scottsdale. So it's like super cute and kitschy. You got to see the hotel. It's adorable. I just love it. Very vintage, very vintage. And, these have all been purposefully chosen. I've purposefully chosen that venue. I've purposefully chosen these healers because I want to give people the opportunity to really go deep within their own souls and to be able to learn from other people about what has driven them and what their muse has been, and maybe to be inspired, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like all of these challenges that you've gone through awaken a new sense of purpose with it?
Yeah. I mean, you summed it up not long ago when we were just chatting. You said, when I started to live in my authenticity, my life started to flow. And you said something to that extent. And that's really how I feel, is that, I don't really hide. I don't hide from my kids. I'm very straight up with them about my life. I don't do any hiding like I used to. I mean, because I had to hide who I was. I mean, if people's sexuality gives them drive, it gives them this connection to their like alter ego. And, when I was disconnected from my sexuality, it really disconnected me from the root, your root chakra. Like, that's your root chakra. Like, it's broken, right? There's no connection there. And so, now that I'm living in that authenticity, now that I am dating a woman, a trans woman, I am living my authenticity, and it has given me a new sense of purpose where I would like to help other people. I have a friend that I talk to right now I feel sad, I feel bad for her, but she's several months behind me in figuring stuff out. She's like, if the messy middle's right here, right, she's on that side of it. And I just want to hug her and be like, it's going to be okay. But I say to her, it's going to be really shitty. Like, it's going to suck. Like, you think it's hard now, it's going to even be harder. But guess what? You're going to be stronger. And it's just something that it's a trite saying, but like, we don't know how strong we are until we're faced with the challenge of being strong. And it's really true. Like, I don't know that I knew how strong I was, but yes, everything that I've gone through has definitely given me different purpose. And if I can make this an annual event that people look forward to, checking in with their own selves once a year, so be it. I'm all for that sisterhood, 100%.
I think that this is something that's a part of like my purpose about why I even have this podcast, is because I want to help women see wherever they're at in these seasons of change, these big kind of tumultuous things that happen, change in career or a big loss that, changes who they are, or reveals who they are through these cataclysms. And a big reason that I wanted to start this show is because I want them to see that the phoenixes on this planet are the ones who are bringing about a certain energy of healing. That women like you and women like me and women like the women who show up and they come back week after week to listen to the show, that there's something very powerful about the Phoenix women, about the ones who have gone and returned to ash and then have emerged from this other side, rising into a new identity, or perhaps the identity of who they were before the world told them who they were, And what I see is that you're taking all your expertise that you've had and learned in your whole life, throughout your career in event planning, and you're now putting on this event that is so soulful. It's like full of soul to help women reconnect. I mean, it brings emotion in me, and maybe because I'm about to freaking bleed or what, but this is like, if you hadn't, I could see it. And, would you have done this? Would you have stepped into that had you not lost your job? Had you not changed your relationship? Would you have, I've got goosebumps from friggin' wrist to neck over here, because you are now creating beautiful spaces for women to help reconnect with themselves and to connect with their inner muse or their muse, out in the world. And that is, what a beautiful gift you are giving the world right now through this challenge that you've gone through in your life. That is the medicine of the Phoenix. I mean, that is what you're bringing. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to amplify your voice. I want to amplify these things. So anyway,
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. That was profoundly well said. Thank you. If you look at the Desert Muse logo, notice, but there's a phoenix in it. Did you see it?
Really?
Yeah. If you look at it, in the middle of it, there's a phoenix rising.
I'm looking at it right. I'm like literally pulling it up right now.
DesertMuseFestival.com. You can check it out too.
Oh my gosh, there is. I was literally just on this website this morning too.
Yeah. And it's subtle. It's subtle. I put it in there subtly, right? But it's there.
Well, I mean, not everybody's as obvious as they like putting the phoenix like on my logo,
well,
and
that's
like painting it
brand,
on my wall,
right? Yeah.
But I will say this, it's like, it almost is like a calling card in a sense, because I think there's a part of us that recognizes that archetype. For those of us that have gone through that, another piece of your retreat that is so important is that these women need to find each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How important has that been for you? Like finding women that you connect with through this,
yeah,
part of your life?
it's something that doesn't happen very easily once you're out of the school system, right? After high school, after college. I mean, in college, I was part of an amazing sisterhood. I lived pitch perfect, right? I was in an all-female a cappella group, and they are still my sisters. They're still my girls, right? And but to put a group like that together now is not so easy, right? You have to really, find your niche. And so I think that women crave connection with other women because it's like peer development. It's like super important for a 15-year-old to be around other 15-year-olds when they're 15. Well, guess what? It's super important for a 47-year-old to be around other 47-year-olds at the age of 47. So
Mhm.
and same with 52 and 63 and 75, right? It's just kind of like, and not just the same age, but, even a greater piece to that is being able to learn, right? Like me being able to learn from the 27-year-old and the 32-year-old being able to learn from the 67-year-old, right? And that experience strength and hope that comes so freely when you're in a safe environment, and it's a closed container the weekend. So people ask, well, can I just come Friday night, or can I just come to the pool day on Sunday? No, you can't. And it's because we're asking for the commitment to the safety of the container, right? We're going to close that container on Friday night, right? And really give everybody a safe space to open up, to dig deep, to unpack that stuff. And that's why, right? That's why it's a commitment, and it's a commitment to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does create a safer space for you to open up, not only with other women, but with yourself. So many of us are walking around trying to hold everything together. We're like walking around just really tight, and that's
Yeah.
really
I'm
challenging.
I'm a big fan of circles of women, right? I mean, I think ever since I was in this all-female a cappella group, the Sirens, the USC Sirens, there's their plug. It really has been, like when I had baby, I joined the breastfeeding support group, right? It was literally a circle of women and their babies. And, I joined the sisterhood at my temple, right? Like I have done a lot of things where it ignites sisterhood. I am a connector. I'm a connector of people. And so this opportunity to bring women together to connect them is super exciting. I mean, I'm starting with my team, with my healers, right? We're all meeting in August and having like a pre-event so that they can connect, they can grow and build and have a connection with just the five of them, right? And so that they can bring that solid connection to the women who come.
What would you say to the woman that is going through this messy middle, whether it's, navigating a divorce or a big career change or a big identity change? What would you say to her right now to help her move through this space of the messy middle?
I would say you can do it. You can do it. Don't think about it too much. Just do it. Just take that next right step and trust in the process and live life on life's terms and deal with it and just keep going. Keep going, keep going. Don't stop. Keep a smile on your face. Keep your head up. Cry hard. I cry. I mean,
Mhm.
just cry, let it out, in the car, in public, in the shower, wherever you need to cry, just cry because it's shitty, right? It's hard. It's hard stuff. And learn to validate yourself. Learn to validate yourself because that is huge. As women, I think we seek external validation frequently. And I mean, if you can learn to give yourself a good job, a kudos, or wow, you actually did that. Nice. All right, girl, keep going. But that's that, right? Keep going. Don't stop. Take the next best step. Don't think about it too much. Accept life on life's terms, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. Acknowledge your effort. I heard you say that. Like that was such a big piece. It's like acknowledge that you're doing it. Acknowledge your strength, acknowledge your courage, and acknowledge when you need help. Like that acknowledgement.
And acknowledge when chapters close,
Yes.
right? It's really, really hard to let go. But if we're holding on, then then there's no floating. You got to, drop the rock, which is a book. But, you got to drop the rocks that you're holding to move forward. I mean, no, you don't get to be friends with that group of friends anymore, because that group of friends, they don't understand your new life. They still live in like easy peasy. And you're like slaying this and slaying that. So sorry for you. You don't get that group of friends anymore. What are we going to do about it?
And that's,
It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to connect with, like you said, connect with the women that are in the season that you're in, right? That have gone through the things, that maybe have been in the arena, have, slain the dragons and the internal demons and all of those things that have held us down or kept us living a life, like Brendan Burchard says, a caged life, and realize that those are going to be very different conversations. Those are going to be very different relationships, and it's okay to let go of those things that no longer fit who you are now. And that is a part of it. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but
nope.
It does mean that it is worth it.
Yep. Cord cutting is no joke.
No, yeah, cord cutting is no joke.
You got to do that, man. And if you can, speaking of cord cutting, I was going to say, and if you can time it around the full moon, that's good. Speaking of which, the Desert Muse Festival is under the harvest moon. So the harvest moon is on that Saturday, the 26th of September, which just so happens to be the Desert Muse Festival, which is so exciting because if you've never seen a moon in Arizona or a sunrise or a sunset, like, you're missing out. It's pretty amazing. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. That in itself.
Yeah. And so, I mean, so many amazing things that you will get to experience if you go. And if you're interested in learning more about the Desert Muse Festival, I'll have that link on the show notes and the podcast description. So make sure you check that out. I have a present for you. For you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, for you right now. I'm going to give it to you right now. So every woman that I bring on my podcast, I offer her a card reading right here on the show. So would you like to have me pull a card for you?
I would. I love that.
So love it. So this is from the Work Your Light deck from Rebecca Campbell. Absolutely love this deck. It's one of my favorite decks. I use it always. It's all about authenticity and sharing your light out in the world. So let's see what card would be most supportive for Jenny today. That. You're going to be like, girl. Okay, so this card is called Deep Replenishment.
Let's see.
And
I put my spectacles on. Ooh, beautiful.
It says, retreat, rest, and be held. This, my beautiful Jenny, is a reminder to nourish yourself while you are pouring into all of the people, to also make sure that you are leaning into deep replenishment and what that means for you. So whatever it is that brings you the most replenishment, especially if time is limited right now, lean into those practices, lean into that thing. And remember, even on those busy days, that you are worthy of being poured into and that you get to give yourself that beautiful space of rest and replenishment. And when you do, then you are more energized and more full to be able to pour into all the other women that you are so passionate about, whether it's in your work in real estate and helping women navigate of those challenges with real estate after divorce, or in your beautiful work that you're doing with the festival. You are an incredible light, and that light burns even brighter when you lean into rest. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a beautiful reading. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. I love it.
So what is the best way for women to connect with you and find you on social media?
Sure. If it's regarding the Desert Muse Festival, which I hope it is, it's desertmusefestival.com. And I'm also on all the socials there too as Desert Muse Festival. So find us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. And you can get your ticket, purchase your experience online. Yeah, at the website. Yeah, or on Eventbrite. You can go to Eventbrite as well.
Awesome. Yes. And Jenny has been super gracious and offered all of my Phoenix Perspective podcast listeners a 25% off discount code for the event. So if you are feeling the call and you check out desertmusefestival.com and you're like, yes, I need to be there. I need to connect with other women who are going through the challenges and I want to rise and replenish myself as well. You can get your 25% off discount by using the code Phoenix25Muse. And you can use that either on Eventbrite or right on her website. You can enter in that code as well. So I will have the links for those in the podcast description. So make sure that you check that out. And that is so generous, Jenny, for you to offer that discount for my Phoenix listeners. I really, really appreciate that.
Happy to do so. And I hope to meet some of you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that now is the time. Now is the time for us to be connecting with other women. Now is the time for us to be replenishing ourselves. Things have been really challenging and really hard lately in a lot of different areas. And we deserve to have some space for ourselves to reconnect with ourselves and with each other. And I love that you're putting on this event. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure having you here, Jenny. I really, really have loved this conversation, and you are
ditto and likewise. Ditto.
You're just an incredible woman. You're an incredible
woman.
Ditto
and likewise.
Yes.
And when can I meet you in person, Corey?
Oh my gosh, I hope so. I don't know, maybe at the festival. We'll see.
I would love for you to be there. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. So let's see what magic we can make happen there. But I really appreciate you shining your light and reminding us how important it is to care for ourselves and to realize that even though we're going through the messy middle, there is so much joy that we can still find in every single phase of our life. So thank you for being here.
Yep. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm so grateful we connected, really and truly. Thanks. And thanks for everybody who listened.
Yes, I'm celebrating you because you just finished another episode of the Phoenix Perspective podcast. I'm so grateful that we got to spend this time together today. It's really been a blast. If this episode lit up your heart or sparked something inside your soul, please follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to rise too. Until next moon phase, remember, you are so worthy of living your most vibrant life. I'll see you next time.